Chapter 33 Property Management Introduction. Objectives. In this chapter, we will discuss the area of property management and a property manager's duties. At the end of this chapter, you will be able to 1. Describe the functions performed by a property manager and property management agreements. 2. Discuss skills that are necessary to being an effective property manager. 3. Explain the obligations a property manager owes to an owner. Key terms. There are some important terms in this chapter. Remember to pay particular attention to these terms when you see them. Capital expense. Capital reserve budget. Corrective maintenance. Fiduciary. General agent. Management agreement. Management proposal. Operating budget. Planned unit development. Preventative maintenance. Property management. Property management report. Property manager. Resident manager. Risk management. Stabilized budget. Variable expense. The New York Bureau of Educational Standards requires that you spend 100 minutes studying the material in this chapter. Your course timer can be found in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Introduction. What is property management? Property management can be defined as the administration of rental or other property by a person or a team of people who are acting for the owner. The management of the property is done for a fee. There are a number of tasks under the property management umbrella, including such things as collecting rent, maintaining the property, performing marketing and budgeting functions, and overseeing relations with tenants. All tasks may or may not be performed by the property manager. Functions of a property manager. A property manager has a dual responsibility, to the owner and to the tenants of a property. He or she must understand that the owner is interested in the highest return from the property and the tenants want the best value for their money, including space that is properly maintained. In general, a property manager is responsible for renting the units promptly at the highest market rent possible, keeping operational and other costs within budget, preserving and enhancing the physical value and prestige of the property. Introduction. Types of property managed. Property managers, or in some cases management companies, oversee various types of income-producing properties. Managed properties include apartments, condominiums, duplexes, industrial complexes, office complexes, shopping centers. License requirements. When a property manager or management company performs real estate-related tasks for one owner and that owner is paying the manager a salary, the property manager does not need a real estate license. If the person or company is working for more than one owner, that person or company should have a real estate license. Persons working for such a management company should have a salesperson's license so they can collect the rent and perform other real estate tasks. Note: any real estate broker who acts as an agent in property management may not accept any commission, rebate or profit on expenditures made for his or her client without the client's full knowledge and consent. This is a Department of State regulation and brokers who do not follow those rules are subject to disciplinary action. Types of property managers. There are several types of property managers. An individual property manager is usually a real estate broker who manages properties for one owner or a number of owners. Such a manager may be a member of a small property management firm devoted to full-time property management. He or she may be a self-employed manager, or he or she may be one of several managers in a large real estate firm. An individual building manager usually manages a single large property. This manager may be employed by a property manager or directly by an owner and may or may not have a real estate license. A resident manager lives on the property and may be employed by a real estate broker, a managing agent, or an owner to manage a property on a part-time or full-time basis. A real estate asset manager acts as the property owner's agent and advisor for the property. He or she plans and directs the purchase, development, and disposition of real estate on behalf of the business and investors. A real estate asset manager focuses on long-term strategic financial planning rather than on day-to-day operations of the property. The property management proposal. Before entering into a formal agreement, a property manager will submit a management proposal to the property owner. A proposal would include such things as a description of the property, including the land and all improvements, a list of what maintenance will be required, information about how maintenance records will be kept, information regarding the accounting procedures the manager will use, a schedule of property inspections, several proposed budgets, operating budget, capital improvement budget, stabilized budget, information about the proposed management fee. Example: we have prepared a sample outline of the kinds of information typically found in a management proposal. Some items in the example are specific to a management company rather than an individual. Click here to open and print a copy of a property management proposal example. The Property Management Agreement. The management agreement is the employment contract for a property manager. The owner is the principal and the property manager is the agent in this agreement, which creates a general agency between the parties. As such, the property manager owes fiduciary duties to the owner. The agreement details the responsibilities and obligations of both parties. A property management agreement would contain some or all of the following information: the beginning date of the contract, identification of the parties, property description, duration of the agreement, definition of manager responsibilities, definition of owner responsibilities, extent of authority, accounting responsibilities, insurance and risk management, reporting requirements, management fee, agreement termination. The property management agreement should be signed and dated by the parties. Let's discuss some of the items above in more detail. Management agreement provisions. Identification of the parties. The name of the owner and the property manager should be stated in the agreement. If the owner is a partnership, each partner should be named and should sign. If a corporation is the owner, an authorized officer must sign the agreement. Property description. It is standard to use the street address, but always helpful and wise to have the legal description attached as well. The contract should state clearly what part of the property is covered in the agreement. For example, if an apartment building is the subject of the agreement, but there is a retail dry cleaner occupying the first floor that will not be part of this agreement, the contract must specify that fact clearly. Duration of the agreement. There is no standard term for a management contract. This is purely negotiable. Owners like to have a short contract, so they can get someone else if they are not satisfied. Conversely, managers like a longer term so that the difficult startup work will pay off over time. 1 year is usually the minimum period. Management agreement provisions. Definition of manager responsibilities. These duties should be clearly and precisely spelled out. It is important that this section contains details about what will happen if the property's account does not have enough money to cover the necessary disbursements. Definition of owner responsibilities. These responsibilities should also be clearly specified. For example, is it the owner's responsibility to maintain the property insurance? Also, the owner should provide the manager with a list of the monthly expenditures, such as mortgage payments and taxes. Extent of authority. This section deals with what authority the manager has with regard to such things as hiring and firing employees, setting the rental rates, and authorizing repairs. Accounting responsibilities. This should include details on how security deposits, rents and expenditures must be handled. All funds collected on behalf of the owner are to be held in a trust account, and only those expenditures outlined in the property management budget can be paid from this account. Security deposits must be handled in accordance with government regulations. Management agreement provisions. Insurance and risk management. As with any real estate venture, there are liabilities in property management, and there are different types of liability. First is strict liability, in which an owner is liable for an injury to a person or damages to a property, without being at fault. Another type of liability is injury and property damage, in which the owner is negligent, and this negligence is the cause of an injury or property damage. Risk management refers not to living with the risk, but reducing the risk to a level at which it can be managed or tolerated. Insurance is a big step to help cushion owners against liabilities. It protects property owners from uncertainties of many potential losses. Reporting requirements. Detailed property management reports should be sent to the owner to allow him or her to monitor the manager's work and serve as a basis for future plans. Management fee. This is also a negotiated item. It often is a base fee and/or a percentage of the collected rents. The manager may also receive additional compensation for leases that are renewed and for the supervision of repair projects undertaken. Agreement termination. This section should outline under what circumstances the agreement will be cancelled or renewed and what the notice requirements must be in such situations. Check your understanding. Print this screen, answer the questions and then advance to the next screen to see the answers. 1. To whom is a property manager responsible? 2. What is the definition of a resident manager? 3. What is the difference between a management proposal and a management agreement? 4. How do the owner and the property manager arrive at a management fee? Check your understanding. Answers 1. To whom is a property manager responsible? A property manager is responsible both to the owner and to the tenants of a property. 2. What is the definition of a resident manager? A resident manager lives on the property and may be employed by a real estate broker, a managing agent or an owner to manage a property on a part-time or full-time basis. 3. What is the difference between a management proposal and a management agreement? A management proposal is submitted to the owner for review before any formal agreement is made. The management agreement is the employment contract for a property manager. 4. How do the owner and the property manager arrive at a management fee? The fee is a negotiated item. It often is a base fee and/or a percentage of the collected rents. Property manager skills. To be a competent property manager, the individual must possess a number of important skills in several areas. Supervision. It is critical for a manager to have good communication skills and be able to deal with the owner, tenants, and other property employees effectively. Accounting. The manager must understand generally accepted accounting principles and be able to prepare and interpret monthly and yearly reports. Building system knowledge. The manager must understand how the various building systems work, such as heating, ventilating and air conditioning, structural engineering, waterproofing, plumbing, gas, electric, oil, water and other utility systems, security systems, elevators and other important building components. Landlord-tenant relations. The manager must be knowledgeable about leases and how to renew them, understand the eviction process, and have a working knowledge of applicable laws in these areas. Lease space. The manager should have knowledge of lease space, including space planning, area design, and building layout. Advertising. The manager must be able to create and supervise advertising and marketing space. Property manager skills. Codes and regulations. The manager must know the housing or building codes and regulations. He or she should be familiar with the New York Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code and the local rental and deposit laws. The manager must also comply with fair housing laws, including the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Federal Fair Housing Act, and other state and local fair housing requirements. Union negotiations. It's important for the manager to understand how to negotiate with union labor to get the best prices for services. He or she must also choose when to use union labor. Purchasing. Knowledge of how to purchase quality goods and materials at the best price is a critical skill for a manager. Financial matters. A manager must be knowledgeable in and be able to apply the principles of appraisal, finance, money markets, and depreciation techniques to their management of the property. He or she must also understand financial trends and local market conditions. Building construction. The manager should have a general knowledge of building construction to help in the analysis of structural and equipment problems. Ecology. The manager should be aware of ecological and environmental issues that may affect the property and comply with local and state laws in these areas. Other important skills. Dealing with property employees. The property manager is technically the employer of almost all the people who work on site. As such, the manager is responsible for their instruction and supervision and should know the details of each employee's job. The success or failure of the management operation often depends on the manager's ability to select, instruct, guide, and keep personnel. An effective staff will keep building vacancies and maintenance costs at a minimum, which will contribute to the property's profitability. Dealing with tenants. It's not hard to understand that tenants want to get the most they can for their rental dollar and feel safe in their surroundings. A property manager should set policies which will give tenants the most benefits that they can get while still ensuring a good return to the owner. Any efforts the manager expends with the intention of retaining qualified tenants will result in more satisfied residents and increased profits for the owner. Experience is an important ingredient here. Managers should always deal with their tenants in an honest and courteous way. Rental schedules. Rent levels are usually determined on the basis of scarcity and comparability of area values. When establishing a rental schedule, a property manager must make a thorough analysis of comparable properties in the neighborhood. The analysis should include but not be limited to the following aspects: the character of the buildings and amenities of the neighborhood, economic level, family size and age groups, trends in population growth and the number of occupants per unit, availability of transportation, recreation, shopping, churches, and schools, growth and expansion of the community and growth of local industries, condition of the housing market in terms of inventory on the market, sales price range, new construction, and vacancy. When setting rental rates, the manager must be aware of the owner's goals for return on investment, as well as the current rental rates of like properties. After a thorough analysis, the property manager can prepare a rent schedule that will bring the maximum income obtainable that is consistent with good economics. Property vacancies. A rental space might be unintentionally vacant for any one of several reasons. Rent is not right, too high or too low for a prospect. Space not ready to rent. Ineffective advertising. Inattentive manager. Poor resident retention program. Unappealing appearance or public areas. No traffic or lookers. High vacancy factor in the area. Successful managers are continually alert to these factors and make appropriate adjustments in marketing strategies and personnel to minimize the effects of these factors. Rent roll. The rent roll of a property is a list of the number of rental units in a property, the length of each lease, and the monthly income for each unit. The rent roll can be used to determine the annual rental income for the property. Example. Click here to open and print a sample rent roll form. Differences between markets. Property management services are available for different types of properties. The types of markets available to property management are: office building management, retail management, residential management, condominium and cooperative management, management office operations. Let's look at each of these in more detail. Office building management. Office property is a type of income-producing commercial property from which a particular service is rendered. According to experts, the need for office space has increased greatly in the last several years, depending of course upon location. Rents for such places vary depending on several factors, including location and aesthetic value of the property. Office buildings are divided into several different categories. Class A office buildings are the newer, more desirable buildings. These command high rents, and, in return, offer the prestige that many businesses desire. Class B office buildings are older, but very well-maintained buildings. They are still desirable, but cannot command the extravagant rents of the Class A buildings. Class C buildings are those office buildings which are older, but not as desirable as Class B buildings. These are not located in prime areas, but they do meet office use requirements. Class D buildings are the least desirable buildings, so naturally command the lowest rents, and offer little, if any, benefits. The location is poor, maintenance is at a bare minimum, if even existent, and the tenants have no statutory duties to maintain the property. Some of the special skills that office building managers need include the ability to analyze the local demographics to attract tenants, negotiate leases, develop competitive rent schedules, market to the professions that would make best use of the space, enhance or rearrange the space to serve the tenants. Retail and residential management. Retail management. Retail properties deal with the buying and selling of commodities or goods. There are several factors involved in the requirements for retail space. This includes population counts, the number of households in the area, the demographics, the average discretionary income, and the popularity of an area. There are several types of retail properties. Pedestrian shopping streets are comprised of stores usually set up side by side. The amount of foot traffic directly affects the sales volumes and, therefore, the rents. Regional shopping centers, which are, for the most part, shopping malls, usually house several department stores. Factory outlets are malls which include stores owned by manufacturers, distributors, or others selling off-price merchandise. The success of many factory outlets depends on their size, location, and whether they carry name-brand merchandise, among other things. A property manager must be adept at tenant selection, choosing a good mix of tenants. He or she must understand the needs and desires of the retail tenants with regard to competition from like tenants, group advertising and common area maintenance. Residential management. Residential properties include single-family dwellings, apartments, condos, co-ops, vacation homes and mobile home parks. A manager must be adept at selecting tenants using credit histories, personal references, and employment information. He or she must also be knowledgeable about maintenance, repairs, and tenant evictions. More market differences. Condominium, cooperative and PUD management. A planned unit development, or PUD, is a type of building development with a design grouping of varied and compatible land uses, such as housing, recreation, commercial centers, and industrial parks, all within one contained development or subdivision. A PUD generally has a homeowners association to maintain the standards and make decisions about property improvements that would benefit all the homeowners. Managers of condominiums, cooperatives, and planned unit developments are typically very involved with the physical management of the property. They take care of the budgets and collect assessments. They also coordinate maintenance of the common areas, deal with landscaping and security issues, and enforce the regulations set forth by the association or board of directors. Management office operations. As we mentioned earlier in this chapter, some of the larger property management companies may manage multiple properties, either for the same owner or for several owners. These larger companies are actively engaged in the following tasks: acquisition of new properties to manage, effective service to existing clients, negotiation of management agreement with new clients, distribution of the workload among the company's employees, evaluation of price-setting policies for employee compensation, maintenance of a good profit margin in order to expand services to meet the changing needs of the clients. Check your understanding. Print this screen, answer the questions and then advance to the next screen to see the answers. 1. What accounting skills are important for a property manager to have? 2. What is a rent roll? 3. List 3 skills needed by office building managers. 4. What tasks do managers of condos, co-ops and PUDs do that are different from other property managers? Check your understanding. Answers 1. What accounting skills are important for a property manager to have? The manager must understand general accounting principles and be able to prepare and interpret monthly and yearly reports. 2. What is a rent roll? The rent roll of a property is a list of the number of rental units in a property, the length of each lease, and the monthly income for each unit. 3. List 3 skills needed by office building managers. Analyze the local demographics to attract tenants, negotiate leases. Develop competitive rent schedules. What tasks do managers of condos, co-ops and PUDs do that are different from other property managers? They take care of the budgets and collect assessments, coordinate maintenance of the common areas, deal with landscaping and security issues, and enforce the regulations set forth by the association or board of directors. Obligations to the owner. As we said earlier, a property manager becomes a fiduciary when a management agreement is signed with an owner. A property manager is usually a general agent because of the authority vested in him or her by the principal. Owner's goals. The property manager's first responsibility is to realize the maximum profit on the property that is consistent with the owner's instructions. To realize maximum profit, the property must be managed efficiently. The manager must maintain the highest occupancy rate possible through good marketing. And the tenants must be happy. To meet these goals, the property manager must do the following. Generate a useful budget. Define the parameters for maintenance. Make sure all maintenance operations run smoothly. Track income and expenses. Create an effective marketing plan that considers future plans. Send periodic reports to the owner. Budgets. A property manager should establish 3 types of budgets for each rental project. The budgets are always subject to adjustments as the project progresses. Operating budget. This annual budget includes the income and expenses for ongoing operations. Capital reserve budget. A plan to finance long-term outlays, such as for fixed assets like facilities and equipment. It includes variable expenses, for such things as remodeling, and capital expenses, such as new equipment. Variable expenses are usually not predictable, but can become a property need at any time. Stabilized budget, a forecast of income and expenses that can be projected over a short period of time, usually 5 years. It's important to realize that budgets can change depending on circumstances. Sometimes the expenses are not so easy to predict. For example, in a small apartment building with window air conditioning units, failure of several units in a single year could quickly deplete the repair budget. Example. Click here to open and print a copy of the projected budget example. Income and expenses. As we mentioned in an earlier chapter, investors use operating statements to project their net operating income for a property. Here is a sample of what an operating statement looks like. Example 1. Annual operating statement for a 12-unit apartment building. You can see above and in our previous projected budget example the kinds of expenses generated by a particular property. For more detail, you can go back and review Chapter 28 Analyzing Investment Property. Maintenance criteria. A critical task for a property manager is the supervision of the physical aspects of the property. He or she must inspect the building and other areas of the property often to determine when maintenance needs to be done. The manager must consider both the repair requirements and the costs that would be incurred to do the maintenance. The manager must decide when subcontracting the repair work would save money for the owner. It is the manager's job to supervise all purchasing decisions so that he or she is making wise use of the owner's money, getting the best value possible. There are basically 3 types of maintenance. Preventive maintenance is a schedule of planned maintenance actions aimed at the prevention of breakdowns and failures. The primary goal of preventive maintenance is to minimize wear and tear and to preserve and enhance equipment reliability by replacing worn components before they actually fail. Preventive maintenance requires frequent inspection of all physical aspects of the property. Corrective maintenance involves the repair or replacement of components which have failed or broken down. The objective of corrective maintenance is to restore the system to satisfactory operation within the shortest possible time. Corrective maintenance is typically carried out in 3 steps: diagnose the problem, repair and/or replace the faulty component, verify the repair action. Construction involves remodeling, interior redecorating or new capital improvements. Money must be budgeted ahead of time for these activities. Construction often increases a property's value, which can attract new tenants or clients and increase income. Marketing plan. It is critical for a property manager to know how to effectively market the space available for rent. Marketing methods include billboard advertising, brochures and flyers, business contacts, business cards, newspaper ads, radio and television advertising, signs on the property. Tenant referrals. Since advertising is an expensive marketing tool, a property manager should make every effort to secure the tenant for the vacant property when a qualified prospect responds to the advertising. It's also vitally important for rental units to be properly maintained, since a property showing the wear and tear of the previous occupants will discourage a prospective tenant. Having a good marketing plan in place is critical to a property manager's success. Marketing plans are not difficult to generate and can be reevaluated and changed as situations warrant. Example. Click here to open and print a copy of the marketing plan. Example. Future of the project. A number of economic factors affect the supply and demand for leasable space. These factors include employment, interest rates, valuation of rental space, affordability of rental space, local taxes. Property owners cannot reduce the amount of rentable space they have when the demand falls and the vacancy rates rise. When these situations occur, the result is fierce competition for tenants and reduced rental rates. A manager who can analyze the real estate market, recognize trends and anticipate their effects will be able to shield the property from the impact of economic effects. To this end, managers must keep informed about the changes in economic conditions. In the residential market, managers need to keep their eye on new construction, local vacancy rates and the ratio of jobs to available housing. For all property types, managers need to look at these factors. Building types and available amenities. Number of occupants per unit. Transportation. Growth of local industry. Population increase. Interest rates. Community expansion. Taxes. Zoning restrictions. Reporting. The property manager must set up and maintain proper records, making regular reports, called property management reports, to the owner that are easily understandable and that cover all operations. A property manager should provide the owner with monthly account statements. These statements usually include rental receipts, miscellaneous income, gross income, itemized list of disbursements and operating expenses, total expenses for the month, cash on hand at the beginning of the month, amount forwarded to the principal owner and the cash balance on hand. Delinquent accounts. This report is a list of the delinquent accounts as well as any lawsuits or other events that may affect the financial status of the operation. This list can be part of the monthly report or can be attached as a separate letter. A detailed annual statement. Using the annual statements, the manager can judge the fluctuations of income and expense and then formulate future rental, maintenance and employee policies. Becoming a property manager. Many individuals become property managers when they purchase a property as an investment. Most investors first starting out do not have the finances to hire a professional manager, so they manage the property themselves. Other persons start out in the business by becoming resident managers for apartment buildings or on-site managers for office complexes or community associations. Still others choose property management as a career, completing specific property management training courses or getting an MBA in asset management. Others come from other associated professions, such as real estate brokerage, appraisal, investment or development. Most property managers are self-employed, although some work for large property management companies. Education. There are a number of professional organizations that provide training courses in property management. Let's take a look at some of them. Education in Property Management. The Institute for Real Estate Management was created as a subsidiary group of the National Association of Realtors registered trademark in 1933. IREM offers both educational and professional programs in property management. IREM developed the designation of Certified Property Manager copyright for individuals who meet a certain level of education and experience requirements. IREM has a designation of Accredited Residential Manager copyright for resident managers who have a lesser degree of training and on-site experience. The designation of Accredited Management Organization copyright is reserved for companies who meet certain IREM guidelines and employ at least one CPM copyright. For more information on the organization and its training courses, you can visit their website. New York has its own IREM chapters. You can learn more about these chapters by visiting these websites. Education in Property Management. Another property management organization is the Building Owners and Managers Association International, or BOMA. BOMA, a national federation of local and regional groups, includes 94 local associations, with chapters in all the major cities. BOMA's Educational Institute promotes the interests of the real estate industry through various programs. BOMA can be found online at other professional organizations in the property management world include National Property Management Association at Urban Land Institute at International Council of Shopping Centers at Commercial Real Estate Women at American Industrial Real Estate Association at. Check your understanding. Print this screen, answer the questions and then advance to the next screen to see the answers. 1. What is a property manager's first responsibility to the owner? 2. What are the 3 types of budgets that should be established for each project? 3. How does preventive maintenance differ from corrective maintenance? 4. What kind of reports should a property manager be giving to the owner? Check your understanding. Answers. 1. What is a property manager's first responsibility to the owner? To realize the maximum profit on the property that is consistent with the owner's instructions. 2. What are the 3 types of budgets that should be established for each project? Operating budget, capital reserve budget, stabilized budget. 3. How does preventive maintenance differ from corrective maintenance? Preventive maintenance is a schedule of plant maintenance actions aimed at the prevention of breakdowns and failures, while corrective maintenance involves the repair or replacement of components which have already failed or broken down. 4. What kind of reports should a property manager be giving to the owner? Monthly account statements. Delinquent accounts report. Detailed annual statement. Summary review. This concludes Chapter 33. Below is a summary which you can review before taking your quiz. Property management can be defined as the administration of rental or other property by a person or a team of people who are acting for the owner. A property manager has a dual responsibility, to the owner and to the tenants of a property. There are several types of property managers. An individual property manager is usually a real estate broker who manages properties for one owner or a number of owners. An individual building manager usually manages a single large property. A resident manager lives on the property. A real estate asset manager acts as the property owner's agent and advisor for the property. Before entering into a formal agreement, a property manager will submit a management proposal to the property owner. The management agreement is the employment contract for a property manager. The owner is the principal and the property manager is the general agent in this agreement. A property management agreement would contain some or all of the following information: the beginning date of the contract, identification of the parties, property description, duration of the agreement, definition of manager responsibilities, definition of owner responsibilities, Extent of authority. Accounting responsibilities. Insurance and risk management. Reporting requirements. Management fee. Agreement termination. Summary review summary. To be a competent property manager, the individual must possess a number of important skills in several areas. Supervision. Accounting. Building system knowledge. Landlord-tenant relations. Lease space. Advertising. Codes and regulations. Union negotiations. Purchasing. Financial matters. Building construction. Ecology. The property manager is technically the employer of almost all the people who work on site. As such, the manager is responsible for their instruction and supervision and should know the details of each employee's job. A property manager should set policies which will give tenants the most benefits that they can get while still ensuring a good return to the owner. The rent roll of a property is a list of the number of rental units in a property, the length of each lease, and the monthly income for each unit. The rent roll can be used to determine the annual rental income for the property. Summary review. Summary property management services are available for different types of properties. Office building management. Office property is a type of income-producing commercial property from which a particular service is rendered. Retail management. Retail properties deal with the buying and selling of commodities or goods. Residential management. Residential properties include single-family dwellings, apartments, condos, co-ops, vacation homes and mobile home parks. Condominium and cooperative management, a planned unit development, or PUD, is a type of building development with a design grouping of varied and compatible land uses, such as housing, recreation, commercial centers, and industrial parks, all within one contained development or subdivision. The property manager's first responsibility is to realize the maximum profit on the property that is consistent with the owner's instructions. A property manager should establish 3 types of budgets for each rental project. Operating budget, capital reserve budget, stabilized budget. Summary review summary. A critical task for a property manager is the supervision of the property's maintenance. There are basically 3 types of maintenance. Preventive maintenance is a schedule of planned maintenance actions aimed at the prevention of breakdowns and failures. Corrective maintenance involves the repair or replacement of components which have failed or broken down. Construction involves remodeling, interior redecorating or new capital improvements. It is critical for a property manager to know how to effectively market the space available for rent. The property manager must set up and maintain proper records, making regular reports, called property management reports, to the owner that are easily understandable and that cover all operations. A property manager should provide the owner with monthly account statements, delinquent account reports, a detailed annual statement. Several organizations offer training courses for property managers. The Institute for Real Estate Management offers both educational and professional programs in property management. The Educational Institute of the Building Owners and Managers Association promotes the interests of the real estate industry through various programs. Click here if you would like to open this summary as a PDF, which you can then print or save to your device. Chapter 33 Summary Chapter Conclusion. In this chapter, we have discussed the functions of a property manager, types of properties that are managed, a management agreement, skills needed by a property manager, obligations the property manager has to the owner. Congratulations! You've completed all of the chapters in this course. Once you complete the quiz for this chapter, you'll be ready to move on to the practice exam. Once you take and pass the practice exam, your course final exam will become available. Feel free to go back and review any or all of the previous chapters before you take your exam. Have you requested an appointment for your proctored course final exam? Complete this form to request an appointment. Your proctored course final exam must be scheduled in advance, so don't wait until the last minute to request an appointment. Consult the New York Final Exam Proctor Instructions document and your helpful resources for more information. Important: your course is not considered complete until the proctor for your exam has been verified and we have received a copy of your signed course affidavit. The course affidavit is in the supplemental materials under the Post-Course and Exam Instructions tab. Print a copy of the affidavit and complete it after you pass the course final exam. Follow the directions on the form when faxing or emailing back to our school. Good luck! 1 of 18. What is an annual budget that includes income and expenses for ongoing operations? Operating. 2 of 18. A stabilized budget is a budget which forecasts income and expenses that can be projected over a short period of time, usually 5 years. 3 of 18. A high vacancy factor in the local area may result in a high vacancy rate for the subject property. 4 of 18. Property managers often set up rent schedules based on which of the following? Neighborhood comparables. 5 of 18. Remodeling and interior redecorating are which type of maintenance? Construction. 6 of 18. The amount of foot traffic generated by directly affects sales volumes and rents. Pedestrian shopping streets. 7 of 18. Which of the following is an organization that offers educational and professionals programs in property management? IREM. 8 of 18. An individual property manager is usually a real estate broker who manages properties for one owner or a number of owners. 9 of 18. Which of these usually contributes to the property manager's fee? Percentage of rental income. 10 of 18. When setting up a rent schedule, a property manager should analyze all of the following except new home sales. 11 of 18. A property's rent roll can help determine the annual rental income for a property. 12 of 18. A property manager should provide the owner with all of the following reports except which? Weekly leasing reports. 13 of 18. A property manager working for more than one owner should have a real estate license. 14 of 18. When the owner and property manager sign a management agreement, they are creating a general agency. 15 of 18. What is a property manager's first responsibility to the owner? Realize maximum profit. 16 of 18. Which function is not performed by a property manager? Preparing the property deed. 17 of 18. A rental space may be unintentionally vacant due to a high vacancy factor in the area. 18 of 18. In which of the following areas is it not necessary for a property manager to possess skills? Communications technology.